What's your favorite idea? Mine is being creative.
Wait, what? Hello.
Oh yeah? Well, mine is unraveling the mysteries of insane viral videos.
I'm like, what's up with his face?
Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the YouTube version of your uncle who thinks that everything is a conspiracy. Why,
That makes sense.
Uncle Bob, I do think it's strange that you never see a baby pigeon, and I'm definitely interested to hear your theory about the government's involvement in that. Please tell me more. And it's that kind of mixture of insanity and analysis that brings us to today's topic, the independent internet darling, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. If you're unfamiliar with DHMIS, it's a series of short films with puppets that looks to be inspired by shows like Sesame Street. But hold on there, all you neglectful parents raising your kids off of YouTube videos. If any of you are looking it up right now to show your children, you're probably gonna want to let me finish this sentence first. Because each episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared features a bit of a dark turn towards the end. Like arts and crafts with a real heart. Or a giant can eating a duck alive. Oh yeah, you're in that part of YouTube again. But even though Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is genuinely one of the weirdest things I've watched on YouTube, I really like it. It's really, really well done, and you
It's funny because I just told my son he had to leave. He was watching me do some stuff, and I just told him, nope, you gotta go. He asked to watch. I said, not even this. So yeah, that's where we're at with these.
should absolutely watch it. At its core, this series is all about YouTube. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared's creators, Becky Sloan and Joseph Helling, pretty much started this from scratch on the site. The first episode came out only 3 months after I uploaded my first ever episode of Game Theory. It's a long time ago.
Jeez,
so I feel
I'm
like we
so
have a
late.
bit history here. But also I like it because this show refuses to be categorized. It's got puppets, but it also has animation in a lot of different styles. And then if you wait long enough, it also has some live action sequences. All of these different styles are one of the things that makes it really hard to interpret. These videos aren't interested in playing by anybody else's rules, and that makes it really exciting to watch. But last, and probably most importantly, is the amazing attention to detail these videos have. The number of callbacks and Easter eggs in every episode is astounding. Some of them you have to practically watch frame by frame to even see. And you know that's the kind of stuff that makes me, and obviously tons of other theorists out there, really excited. There are a lot of different ways to interpret Don't Hug Me, but today, for our first theory on this series, that's right, I said first, more on that later, we're gonna talk about what the whole thing means. An overview of the main themes of the whole series. Granted, we're not the first people to try and do this. YouTube and Reddit were flooded with theories when the last episode went up, but I really tried to do my homework on this one, and I got an explanation for Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared that'll convince even the most skeptical of theorists.
Let's see.
Be warned, comprehensive spoilers lie ahead, but then again, this entire thing is on YouTube, and it's just 6 episodes that are between 3 and 8 minutes each, so just go watch it, like right now.
We're good, we watched it all, we're good, let's go.
Fantastic. Let's get creative. If we're hoping to explain what's going on in Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, we first need to establish what kind of world we're in. A lot of theories look at the bizarre events in this series as evidence of something sinister, such as the 3 main characters, to whom I'll be referring to from here on out as the red guy, the yellow guy, and the duck, being stuck in purgatory or some sort of nightmare. To that I say, Occam's razor, my friend. A better explanation is one that's a lot simpler. These 3 are just stars of a children's television show. Granted, it may not be a very nice children's television show.
No, not at all.
The evidence is there. There are several instances in which we see the inner workings of a television show. We see clapboards and cameras right in episode 1 at the start of the creativity montage. Then again in episode 4 when the red guy follows the computer wire to the next room, and in episode 6 as the lamp explains dreaming to the yellow guy. We can also tell that most of the time these characters are on sets. This is most obvious when Duck revolts in episode 5, saying, the perspective of the video changes, indicating that Duck has hit the camera that's filming him, and when the camera looks upward, we can see the characters aren't actually in a house with a ceiling, but in a studio with lights overhead. The other obvious tip-off is that our 3 main characters are basically archetypes of what you'd see on Sesame Street. The yellow guy is a human puppet, like Bert or Ernie, the duck is an animal puppet, like Snuffleupagus or Big Bird, and the red guy is some sort of humanoid monster, like a Grover or Oscar the Grouch,
that makes sense.
or those aliens that go meep meep all the time. Those things utterly freaked me out, by the way. And if this is indeed a TV show, it would explain some of the Easter eggs we keep seeing in later episodes. As Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared progresses, we start to see some of the same props appearing over and over again. At the beginning of episode 4, we can see a statue of Malcolm from the previous episode on the fireplace next to the clock. At the start of episode 5, we see the number chart the computer uses in episode 4 attached to the refrigerator. And then there are other props, like the red, blue, and yellow baseball cap that keeps showing up episode after episode.
I didn't even notice
These
that.
aren't just cool Easter eggs, they're there for a reason. To decorate the set with props they've used before instead of having to buy entirely new props and set pieces every time. This is common not just within TV shows, but also across productions as a way to save money. There are examples of this practice all over film and TV, like the newspaper from No Country for Old Men showing up in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and even better, Modern Family. The armor from Starship Troopers also makes an appearance in Firefly, or Star Trek literally reusing an entire space station in
Just
two
flipped
completely
it upside
separate
down?
productions. There's one other juicy bit of theorist bait in episode 6 that strongly points to the whole thing being a TV show as well. When the yellow guy is in bed looking through his scrapbook, we see a picture of the red guy, who wasn't in episode 5 except for the credits, and whose bed is empty at the start of episode 6, wearing a graduation cap. Other theorists have suggested that this means that red guy is a teenager who grew up and went out to the real world, but going off to college is also a way for a television show to explain the sudden absence of a main character. For instance, at the end of season 4 of Blue's Clues, the original host Steve announces that he's leaving Blue to go off to college, when in actuality that was just the show transitioning to a new host, letting Steve go and do whatever weird artsy films that he's working on now. And no, internet, he did not go off and die of a heroin overdose. He just did a TV show like 3 years ago. Fact check, internet. Man, you guys are dark. Then again, we are talking about a series of videos where one of the puppets dies in a vat of oil and another gets his intestines ripped out. So, yeah. Internet is a dark, dark place. All right, great. So Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is a kids' TV show. Awesome. But what does it mean? What the heck are the makers of the show trying to say? Well, the first part of this is fairly obvious. Television messages that are delivered to children are corrupting them as much as they're helping them. Those episodes of Sesame Street? Oh yeah, leading your kids down a dark path of brainwashing destruction. I'm looking at you, Big Bird. At least according to DHMIS.
He was always my favorite.
Just look at each episode. The pattern here is pretty clear. Each one has a theme you'd expect to see on a show like Sesame Street. Creativity, how time works, love, technology and computers, healthy eating, and dreams. But in every instance, that message gets corrupted. And not just by decaying flesh or catching your dad watching porn or a human heart covered in glitter. Let's take it episode by episode. Episode 1 is all about the virtues of creativity, except it portrays certain types of creativity as being right and wrong.
Like green.
That green isn't a creative color, and that the yellow guy's picture of a clown deserves to be destroyed because it's somehow creative in the wrong way. Episode 2 tries to explain the concept of time, but that explanation is overly simplistic and teaches that time is important, even though kids still can't understand it from the way it's being taught. The clock answers questions about time like,
but when did it start?
And when will it stop?
With weird evasive answers like,
time is important and I am a clock.
Then, when the duck finally tries to explain time
Okay, I see it now. I see the
clock yells
swastika.
until Yellow Guy's ears literally start to bleed. In episode 3, the Yellow Guy learns about love from a butterfly.
Pesky bee?
Or bee.
A little baby pigeon.
Or a little baby pigeon. Or whatever. And teaches him about feelings. But then later learns that love is only okay when it's followed in a certain way, particularly as it applies to religion. Episode 4 is all about computers and how they can teach us a lot about the world, but at the end simply conclude that in the digital world, people end up doing frivolous things like fashion and shopping and mindless entertainment. They're literally getting sucked into a computer and distracted with all these superficial
Even
things
when there's
rather
nothing
than
to
the
watch.
information they were looking for in the first place. Then in episode 5, the characters are supposed to learn about how to eat healthily, but the advice of the can and meat is confusing and contradictory. And this food pyramid is just terrifying.
The food groups can easily be sorted using the simple health shape.
It's also about how certain name brand products are good for you and others are bad. The underlying theme here is clear. The kid show these 3 characters are in throughout the entirety of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared sets sets out to deliver lessons about the world, but either fails miserably or succeeds in intentionally brainwashing kids to a specific point of view. But why? Why are the creators of the show so cynical about kids' programming? Are they trying to say that there's some big conspiracy behind kids' TV shows? Well, yeah, actually. Definitely seems that way. Dig a little bit deeper and there's evidence that the show's creators are railing against not just kids' TV, but the makers of kids' TV and what their goals really are. Not in educating kids, but in making money. Throughout the series, we see visuals all about earning money, such as the very first thing you see in Don't Hug Me, a newspaper which reads, "Stocks flying high," along with a figure that seems to imply that the value of the British pound is increasing. We also have subtler clues, like a board game in the background of episode 4 that's titled Money Win. But the most important element of this is in a very small detail. Any fan of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared knows that each of the episodes takes place on June 19th. But what you have to look closer to see is the year. You can actually figure it out from episode 1. That newspaper headline about stocks soaring in the UK is no accident, and it's not fiction. If you look at stock records for June 19th over the last 100 years, there's one year in particular where stock markets were hitting record highs on that date in 1955. In 1955, stock markets all over the world, including the US and UK, broke practically every record imaginable when the markets opened. And if this was good evidence in episode 1, in episode 2, we get our definitive proof. When the clock mentions that the past is far behind us, we see a picture of all three main characters with the date underneath that reads 1906-55. The 1906 part obviously stands for June 19th. Since the Brits put their date before the month, with the 55
I work with that all the
confirming
time.
our year. But why? Why 1955? Well, 1955 was actually a huge deal in British television history. Prior to 1954, the British Broadcasting Corporation, or BBC, held a monopoly on British
Does this have to
television.
do with the censorship
It was
stuff?
1954 that the UK passed what became known as the Television Act, in an effort to bring an end to that BBC monopoly. This act led to the establishment of the first alternative network called ITV, for Independent TV, in 1954. While the BBC is sponsored by the British government, ITV is independent and therefore has to make its money through advertising. Now, in interpreting this series, other YouTube channels, most notably YouTube Explained, have covered this topic, but they've said in the context of Don't Hug Me that this was a good evolution. I see it the opposite way, and I'm pretty sure the creators of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared would agree, and here's why. This was the first time that advertising appeared in British television, marking an inflection point at which television went from a medium to communicate and entertain to a medium to make a profit, thereby giving executives and advertisers as much and oftentimes more power than the creators. And Britain was especially sensitive to TV advertising. I mean, in the US, we were already used to interrupting TV programs with ads, or not even interrupting them at all.
Makes sense.
In the US, it was actually standard practice at the time to lead those regular shows into an ad. So one minute you'd be watching the Flintstones, and then all of a sudden they'd be selling you cigarettes. No joke. Or watching a game show and then being sold dishwasher detergent in the middle. One piece of evidence that was used against ads was that in the US, the coverage of Queen Elizabeth's coronation was interrupted by a commercial with a dancing monkey named J. Fred Muggs. The British considered advertisements like that embarrassing and quite frankly rude. You don't interrupt their queen with a monkey? So 1954 and 1955 were years that were filled with debates about when and how to allow ads onto TV. And if the behavior of Becky and Joe, Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared's creators, is any indication, the issue of ads influencing TV is a big concern of theirs. According to the newspaper The Guardian, Becky and Joe received offers from more mainstream sources to make episodes of Don't Hug Me, but turned them all down and funded the project themselves through Kickstarter. Joe Pelling was quoted as saying, "We wanted to keep it fairly odd and have the freedom to keep doing exactly what we wanted."
I 100% respect that. I mean, especially when you got a lot of these channels out here that they're doing some great stuff, and they could easily, be bought, kind of go mainstream or go with a big, company and do the same thing, but to a degree, the same thing. It might have the same face, same title, but underneath is like, there's going to be a lot of restrictions. You're going to be told a lot of things that you can't do or can't say. So I applaud them for that.
The implication here is clear. If Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared were made for television, it would have had to have been approved by other people.
Yep.
People whose interests would have been for profit or popularity, not about the message of the show. And when you look at these 6 episodes, it's pretty clear that the messages for a positive, good, inspirational, entertaining kids show are there, but they've been perverted by the influence of an outside force. Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared is ultimately a parable for the loss of control that artists trade off when they work on bigger screens. Their messages are manipulated and their morals are poisoned by others with ulterior motives. And with that, I'm gonna have to leave you hanging. I know, I'm sorry. I recognize that we're just starting to scratch the surface of this series, but establishing this series as a launching point was really important for answering all the other questions that we haven't gotten a chance to touch on today. Who are these characters? Really? What is the significance of June 19th? What about
We
Roy,
kinda talked about
the
that.
ominous lurking figure the yellow guy claims is his dad? And what does the ending mean? But don't worry, we're getting to all those questions and more in just another week.
Okay, I think I'm hooked. I gotta see more on this. I'm gonna watch the next one, and I think I want to watch some of the other theories as well, like some of the other people's thoughts on Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, because I feel like it could go in a couple different ways. I like all the connections between the episodes. That part is pretty awesome. He kind of highlights it here. I'm hoping he goes into more detail in the second video, but he highlights it here. But most of this one was more about his thoughts on why they made this a kids television show and seeing how that's more than likely what it is. And I get it, especially from Duck trying to get out of the episode and hitting the camera. We see all the, the open ceiling. They're obviously on a set, and then all the different moments where you see a camera like he spoke to. I think it definitely is a TV show or a kids TV show. It's supposed to be. And it just kind of gets distorted and changed up a little bit with all the crazy, creepy stuff that happens later on, which I love. I want to see more of it. So I'm going to try to watch the next one pretty soon for Film Theory. We'll watch, we may watch 1 or 2 others. Give me a suggestion on the best theory video outside of Film Theory. We'll watch these 2. I want to maybe try one other one from another source. Now I want to try to check out the episodes from the series, the actual TV show that they did. I think that'd be pretty fun to watch too. So let me know if you want to see more. Like the video, subscribe if you're not subscribed. Obviously, for all you guys, members, subscribers, watchers, however you support, it's really awesome. We're about to hit 20,000. If we haven't, by the time when I'm recording this, we're not at 20,000 yet, but we're about to hit 20K. It's all because of you guys. So thanks so much for the support. It's really awesome to see. I appreciate it. And as always, I will see you guys on the next video. Take care.